there, my lovely gardening friends. How are you today? I'm Mark. I'm a biotech geek and your gardening freak. Today, I would like to discuss about the joys of gardening. Yes, it's a lovely occupation. We all love to take care of our beautiful plants in the garden and in the home. But let me talk to you just a little bit about a gardener, a very special gardener whose work has laid the foundations, the very foundations of modern genetics. Yes, and I'm talking about an Austrian monk. Yes, he was a monk, and he was not a scientist per trade. I mean, he knew a thing or two about science and botany and zoology and history. I mean, he was educated, of course, but he was not a full-fledged scientist. But he did some wonderful experiments using peas. Yes, those small peas that we use for cooking or in the kitchen. So he grew peas in his very, very well-kept garden located in the backyard of a monastery in Austria in those days in the 1800s, around 1850 or so. Father Mendel was a very, very keen gardener, and he was patient with his plant, and he did the work of a monk, and he was indeed a monk, and he had lots of time to grow his peas and especially supervise the crosses between pea varieties that he isolated. And in this diagram right here, in this chart, this lovely little chart will show you some characteristics, some genetic characteristics. We call them the phenotypes of the pea plants that he grew. So you see there are many, many varieties, and from one summer season to another and another and another and another, he has been able to discover what is called today the 3 laws of Mendel. And the 3 laws of Mendel constitute the fundamentals of a science called genetics. And Father Mendel's work was absolutely essential for understanding genetics, and for that he was extremely successful with his peas. And well, I'm quite sure that my good girlfriend Valerie right here would have appreciated to the full the tender love and care that Father Mendel gave to his sweet pea plants. Now, would you, Valerie? Yes, and she cannot complain about the fact that every gardener, whether professional or beginner alike, can easily reproduce Father Mendel's achievements with any kind of plant, indoors as well as outdoors, knowing that he keeps his soil alive. So this is the secret. We are talking about the concept of living soils, because you see, the soil is a living organism. So when we condition the soil, on the one hand, with the bioponic soil conditioner, and when we fertilize the soil or fertilize the plant, on the other hand, with the bioponics liquid plant nutrient, these two components go perfectly well together, just like horse and carriage, to ensure total success with your plants. So it is a brand new concept. It is a very elegant concept, knowing that the soil is a living organism. In fact, it's a microbiome. It is constituted of an incredible array of microorganisms, whether they are bacteria, beneficial bacteria, nitrogen-fixing bacteria, phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, as well as yeasts, beneficial yeasts, or beneficial molds, as well as vesicular mycorrhizae. Those microorganisms are absolutely essential for allowing the soil to be like a living organism, living in symbiosis with the roots of any plant to ensure a rapid growth and characteristics that are very similar to what plants live in their natural habitat. So there you have it. You recreate the natural habitat that roots are very familiar with in the soil, so that the plant is able to fulfill its genetic program, which is to develop and then produce flowers and then produce fruits that will bear the seeds for the next generation. So this is how it works. And well, very obviously, Father Mendel didn't have access to these very contemporary soil conditioners and probiotic microbial tools for being successful in his gardening. But his results and the work he did and the record he kept were very, very important for laying the foundations of genetics. Now what we have to do is to simply wait for a few more years and cross the vast Atlantic Ocean in order to land in the Big Apple. Yes, the city of New York, and especially a very prestigious university you have there, which is Columbia University. And we will meet a professor there, and his name was Dr. Thomas Hunt Morgan. And Dr. Morgan did extremely interesting work with the fruit fly. You know these little fruit flies that fly all around the place, like in the month of August or September, around the fruit platters, and you see them buzzing and whizzing all around these fruits. Well, Dr. Morgan worked with the fruit flies from the Big Apple. In order to discover the genetics of Drosophila melanogaster. This is the name, the Latin name of the fruit fly. So what he did was very elegant. He exposed some flies to the effects of X-rays, which is a very strong mutagen. So, well, some flies died, but the ones that survived were crossed with normal flies, and then he could follow the progress of the offspring throughout generations and generations. And the beauty of it is that you see the fruit fly's generation time is very short. It's only 2 to 3 weeks, so it's much better than waiting for an entire summer season for getting results from the crosses you did the previous year. Dr. Morgan could obtain lots and lots of results from the different crosses that he did. And he could see and characterize some extremely interesting mutations in the fruit fly, just like this lovely little chart is showing you right here. Like you have some bright red eyes, you have some white eyes, you have some slit eyes. Those eyes are like slits instead of being these big red round eyes. Also the wings, some wings are very atrophied and some wings are curly, they have a deformity. So he has been able to characterize these mutations, and the work he did in the Big Apple in those days was extremely important and absolutely considered.
You're fired.
By the entire scientific community, because Dr. Morgan has been able to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that biology can be and is an experimental science.
You're fired.
So there you have it. You have two brilliant investigators with a very keen sense of observation. We're talking about Professor Morgan at Columbia University in his lab, doing research with the fruit fly on the one hand, and Father Mendel with the sweet peas on the other hand, and together they have been able to characterize the idea or the concept of the gene. So Father Mendel called it a factor, a hereditary factor or particle, and Dr. Morgan has been able to prove that it is indeed a physical structure that can indeed be transmitted from the parent to the offspring and to the next and to the next and to the next. So this is the idea of genetics, and today the science of genetics is very, very advanced, because now we can consider it and study it at the molecular level. So molecular genetics is a very powerful science. It's extremely interesting, and many investigators throughout the world are they're still using Dr. Morgan's little fruit flies from the Big Apple. So that was it for today. I hope you found this video informative, and don't forget that we have to push the concept and explain the concept of living soils. It is a science that's just as solid as genetics or molecular biology. It's very, very well documented. We call it soil ecology. We call it ecophysiology, the workings of a plant when the soil is alive and thriving with all these microorganisms that are found in billions and billions and billions in the soil. So just like the late Dr. Sagan, Carl Sagan, who talked a lot about the billions and the billions and the billions of stars. Well, I mean, look no further than the ground, the very ground we walk on, because, I mean, it is a universe down there as well as up there in the sky. So this is the kind of world we live in, and let's make it a better place by insisting on values like urban agriculture, food resiliency, organic agriculture without the use of pesticides, without the use of synthetic fertilizers. Let's work together with natural fertilizers and make the soil alive. So thank you very much for your consideration, and don't forget to take care of your lovely plants, your lovely banana trees like Valerie here, yes, and beautiful orchids or the plants that you have received for Christmas. Take good care. Pamper them with the bioponic soil conditioner, and in the meantime, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. And also, don't forget to share my videos. It's for a good cause. Okay, well, thank you, and ciao for now.